This is a video you're supposed to be doing?
Yes, it's starting. Okay. So go ahead and introduce who you are.
Okay.
Let me actually get it closer. Oh yeah, just go ahead and introduce who you are.
I'm Instructor Mel Lopatowski, Cal State Fullerton, and I formerly worked at Newsday on Long Island when I was an editor and a reporter there. And when JFK was killed, I was assigned to cover the funeral on the ground in Washington. Need any more introduction?
That's it right there. Just go ahead and talk about who are you working for? And
Okay, I was working for Newsday, which is, as I say, it's a very large important paper in the East Coast at the time, certainly. And we had a big, aggressive staff. And when JFK got shot, of course, in Dallas, we marshaled our forces. We had a one-man Washington bureau at the time. We marshaled our forces in Long Island, where the paper was housed, and we sent several of us went there to cover the funeral in the city of Washington, which was really affected by the assassination. So my job, essentially, we all took different pieces of the job, and my portion of it was to cover the street, along the street, and the funeral came by, and the entourage came by, and and it was to interview people and observe what was happening. It was a momentous event, of course, and everybody, including the reporters and the editors, were affected by this. But they turned around immediately to focus on the best way to cover the story for our paper. We had one reporter covering the ceremonies that were going on, and another reporter covering officials, and the third one covering the family.
what were you doing on the day, on that moment?
When I was reporting,
When JFK got shot.
I was in Manhattan at the time. I went to a camera shop, actually, to get some equipment, and I heard it there, and immediately jumped in my car and went back from Manhattan to Long Island, which was about an hour's drive at that time. And that paper was located in Nassau County. So then, and then at that time, as soon as I got back to the office, we sat around and discussed how we were going to cover it from here on out.
Did you vote for him?
Well, now, you know it's supposed to be confidential.
What about? So you had to interview people about those who were at the site when that happened?
No, not at the site, during the funeral.
Oh, during the funeral.
Back in Washington. I didn't go to Dallas.
Okay.
And the assignment was to get the mood along the route, the parade or the entourage route, describe not only the mood, but describe what people looked like at the time. It's kind of cold days. I remember they were bundled up, and talking to people along the way, including some of those who were many soldiers lined up to along the route, and talk to some of them as well.
Did you see the casket?
No.
No? Oh.
Now the way we reported in those days on one of these stories would be that we had no laptops, we had no cell phones, and so as soon as I got a break, I went to a payphone and phoned in to Newsday, and And there was a rewrite man there who took down all of the stuff we were writing. We were reporting, rather, myself and the others I mentioned. And then he turned that into a story. He put it together. And as a good editor, he also would interview us in case he thought there was some area that we hadn't covered in our notes. It was tough because it was kind of cold, I remember, and tough writing notes in that weather. Sometimes my handwriting wasn't exactly perfect, to understate it. So I didn't want to have any problem deciphering all of that. So I would sometimes write things down twice. And then that night we gathered again to get some more color from the town, visit places where restaurants or bars or other places that people were meeting in the shopping centers, and to see what their reaction was to the assassination.
I mean, JFK, like he seemed to be like a loved man, said by one person. I mean, I can't even imagine like if Barack Obama was assassinated. I mean, I wasn't there, obviously, at JFK assassination, but was the world different? Was it more quieter? Was everybody weeping on the streets?
Yeah, there was, the scene on the streets was very moving. People were crying, dropping to their knees, in many cases. Others standing up and saluting. Excuse me. And mostly, though, not saying anything unless they were asked. So a little bit of shock. So my job then was to get the mood of the people on that day, but I also knew that I was going to have to move ahead on the next day about what's going to happen now. Who is this guy, Lyndon Johnson, and how is he going to play out on this story? And there were a great many questions about how Johnson would come through as president. We realized that because he had been, he was reluctant to be named vice presidential candidate, and he said most vice presidential candidates, most vice presidents don't succeed the president. He wasn't thinking in terms of assassination, but rather eventually down the road. And he was getting along in years. So he decided to, but he turned out pretty well, pretty strong, and accomplished a great deal right after the assassination. So I stayed and covered some of that, the follow-up in the government, what was being done. And at the time there was a fear that there might be a conspiracy that people would go after Johnson and other people in the government who killed Kennedy. Turned out they had no evidence of that at all. It gave that experience gave me a lot of insight into how difficult it is to get a mood out of a crowd. But in this case, it was difficult, but people were pretty uniformly sad. There weren't any people there who were glad. There was a lot of Republicans in Washington. There weren't any people who were glad that he got killed or thought it was for the better of the country or anything of that sort.
Well, there it is, the man who had to cover the funeral of President JFK.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you again.
I'll tell you, and do me a favor.
Yeah.
Can you send that file to me?
I will.
Okay.